Yo, what is going on, guys? It's your co-host Brayden of the Debate Zone. It's a solo video today. We are hitting some baseball content. So I know we kind of said if we were to do baseball content, it would probably just be me. Jake might uh, help out in some future videos, but this one's gonna be all me. I'm doing, as you can probably see by the title, top 10 MLB players of all time. And there's some doozies on here for I think for a lot of people. I know a lot of people in the world don't appreciate baseball as much as I do. A lot of people think it's easy or it's boring to watch. Me personally, it's my favorite sport to watch, favorite sport to play. Everything about it is fantastic. So I'd like to think my list is good, but again, like I said, there's some doozies, a little bit of bias at the end. Um, but yeah, uh, gonna get right into it. First of all, I'm gonna start off with an honorable mention. Mike Trout. He's not in my top 10. If he hasn't been injured over these last 4 years, 4 or 5 years consistently, he would be in my top 10 right now. But because he has been injured so much recently, it's taken away from his. I mean, taken away from his stats, taken away from everything. Because when he is playing, he is the best player in baseball. But he isn't playing much, so uh, he would be in my top 10 of all time right now if he wasn't injured. We'll see by the end of his career if he's played more been more healthy near the end of his career and played more, but and is able to keep it up after these injuries. But yeah, another honorable mention. I got Mariano Rivera, uh, best closer of all time, first unanimous MVP. Or sorry, no, not first unanimous MVP, first unanimous Hall of Fame inductee. Uh, he was probably my number 11. I had him in my top 10, but then I had to switch him out for someone. Uh, I couldn't put a closer in to top 10. It's hard to do. Like so little sample size. Like yes, he has 690 something saves, but it's hard to put a closer in. Like they're in for like an inning at a time, maybe two. Uh, albeit he was the most dominant pitcher or closer of all time, obviously with the record. But I just couldn't justify putting him in uh, above these other 10 people. So yeah, my number 10, I'm going Pedro Martinez. Expos legend and Red Sox legend, obviously. I'm going to go through a couple of his stats. One World Series championship, two Cy Youngs in the AL, and one Cy Young in the NL. 219 wins, 100 losses, 2.93 ERA, which is insane. He reached the 3,000 strikeout mark. 1.05 WHIP career, which is insane. Insane. I mean, he's one of the most dominant pitchers of all time. A lot of people would say he should be higher in the list, or he is the best pitcher of all time. I don't think he's the best pitcher of all time. Hint towards my next couple later in the list, but he is definitely a top 10 player of all time. He was one of two most dominant pitchers in the early 2000s. And it's insane what he did. Carried the Red Sox, was phenomenal with the Expos too. Yeah, I got Pedro as number 10. Not much else to say. He played for 18 years too, and 3,000 strikeouts is insane. Ted Williams is my number 9. Get some more stats for him. Yeah, Ted Williams number 9. They didn't really keep track of. He didn't win any awards, or at least my stat page doesn't show that he won any awards. He might have won them, but they might not have been any when he played. I mean, I feel like there would be when he played. Oh no, 1918. Yeah, never mind. Probably not. But I mean, a lot of people consider him one of the most pure hitters of all time. 2,600 hits, 521 home runs, 1,800 RBIs, 344 career average. That is one of the main reasons why he's on this list. 482 on base percentage, He only had 7,000 at bats in 19 years, which kind of is low. Um, he also had 2,000 walks. Like he had 2,000 walks and 2,600 hits. Like his on base percentage is insane. One of the highest of all time. He had a season of over 400 batting average. I don't remember which season it is. I could look for it. Um, where's Yeah, he had a 406 batting average in one. That's insane. 406. And then he also had 407 with Boston and a 400. He had 3 seasons of above 400 batting average for a season. That is unheard of. He is by like one of the best hitters of all time, just most consistent. Great eye. You have to put him in the top 10. He is just up there. Number 8. I said Pedro was one of 2 dominant pitchers in the 2000s. This guy was the other one, Randy Johnson. My opinion, the best pitcher of all time. I mean, 5 Cy Youngs, 1 in the AL, 4 in the NL. He won a World Series with Arizona. Like, that's insane. He played for 22 years, so he played for a bit longer than Pedro, 3 years longer. His record was 303 wins, 166 losses, 3.29 ERA, so a bit higher than Pedro, but 4,800 strikeouts. He almost reached the 5,000 strikeout mark, which I don't think has been done. Maybe except for Nolan Ryan. 1,500 walks, which I mean isn't great. Whip of 1.17, which is also insane. 4,000 career innings. 10.6 strikeouts per 9 innings. Like he would average 10 strikeouts a game, which is insane over an entire career. His postseason stats weren't great. He was 7-9 in the postseason, so it's like that's not great. Like if you're not above 500, not the best. But taking Arizona to the chip is fantastic, and winning the chip with them. And then he was stuck on Seattle for a couple years, so that was, rough Seattle. Randy Johnson was most dominant. Like, I think he won 3 Cy Youngs in a row, if I am not mistaken. But he was fantastic. I didn't really get to watch him that much. He kind of, at the end of his career, when I started getting into baseball, unfortunately, I would have loved to see him. But, I mean, also just super tall, 6'10". Like, you're not going to be able to hit that, like, at all. I think Randy is the best pitcher of all time. Yeah, best pitcher of all time, number 8 all time on everything. I mean, it's pretty good standards for a pitcher. Yeah, that's my number 8. My number 7, I'm gonna go way back, not as far back as Ted Williams. I'm gonna go Mickey Mantle. I should have said at the top of this video, I am taking everything in, not just hitting. I know Ted Williams is just hitting, but I'm taking everything. I'm taking fielding, speed, everything, like just all-around player. Mickey Mantle was fantastic. I believe the second best player on that team when he was on the Yankees, maybe first. 7-time World Series champion, 3-time AL MVP, 1-time Gold Glove. Probably should have been more Gold Gloves, but he was fantastic. 536 home runs, 1,500 RBIs, 298 average career, which is insane. Like, I still think baseball is the hardest sport when you have a guy succeeding 30% of the time. That's considered an all-time great. That's why, personally, baseball is the hardest sport in every sport. On-base percentage of 421, which is insane too. 2,400 hits and 8,000 at-bats, which is 2,000 hits is great to get above 2,400. And then he also had 1,700 walks, which I mean, just on base is great. Stolen bases, 153 stolen bases. I know that's not that much in comparison to other guys like Ricky or other people, but I mean, in a time where stealing wasn't the greatest, like wasn't happening that often, 153 is pretty good. And in career postseason, he was hitting 257 with 18 home runs. I mean, when you have that many games in the playoffs, like 7 World Series champions, they probably made the playoffs. Like, every year he played, and probably made to the World Series almost every year. Um, he was phenomenal of a player. Again, kind of product of his time. I don't think he would be as good in today's era, but can't take away from what he did when he did play. Um, I mean, Mickey Mantle, great all-time player. I think number seven, I think, right? Yeah, seven. Yeah, Mickey Mantle 7. I think it's going pretty well so far. I think I'm pretty hit the nail on the head here. Number 6. I'm gonna go Ty Cobb, all-time leading batting average holder up until Josh Gibson. Obviously, they've merged the Negro Leagues in with MLB, but 366 career batting average. That's insane. Yes, he was playing in the like 1900 to like 1920 something. Yes, that era sucked for baseball. Like there was no one good in baseball those times. But he was phenomenal. Like, yeah, he only had 117 home runs, but the fields back then were insane, like insanely big, and also he was definitely more of a contact hitter. 1900 RBIs, 366 average, as I said, in a career. That again, that right there, just almost trumps everything. 433 on base, so not as high as Ted Williams, but still phenomenal. 11,000 at bats. He had 4,189 hits. 4,000 hits. I think he's one of the few that did it. I mean, I know Ichiro did it, but he also played in Japan, which got him to 4,000. 4,000 hits just in MLB, whatever it was called back then, and 1,200 walks, and 897 stolen bases. So he was stealing bases back in the day. He was phenomenal. I don't got any accolades because I don't think they did any accolades back then. I don't think there was World Series or anything. If there was, he didn't win any. You just can't take away from the fact that he is one of the best hitters of all time, contact hitters of all time, and he's a great outfielder too. Great speed, just all around good player. 5-tool player. Oh, 4-tool player without the power. Yeah, I got Ty Cobb at number 6. And for the doozy for a lot of people, I've got at number 5 what a lot of people probably would have at number 1, or some people would have at number 1. I got Babe Ruth at number 5. I know that's insane to say. I do. I get that. Again, product of his time. He was playing against people who had secondary jobs, like Ty Cobb was, like Ted Williams probably was, like what Mickey Mantle was. But great two-way player. He was the original Shohei. Or Shohei is what Shohei's trying to get to the levels that Babe Ruth did, which I think he will, especially in today's era. He's already might be there. But 714 home runs for Babe Ruth, 2,000 RBIs, 342 career average, insane. 474 on base percentage, 2,800 hits, and 2,000 walks. And he also had 123 stolen bases, which is actually pretty impressive. It doesn't tell me how many World Series he won. I guarantee you he won multiple, but also playing pretty early into his careers. Not giving me his pitching stats, unfortunately. Oh, maybe. There you go. Yeah, it's not giving me his pitching stats. Oh well. He was also a really good pitcher. Again, people he was pitching against weren't the greatest. He wasn't throwing super heat like they do nowadays. But I mean, the first legitimate two-way player which is fantastic. Like, it was great. Again, a lot of people would have him higher than I do. Product of his time, and I think the other 4 players are just better overall players. Like, I think they're overall better. Yeah, and because they played in a bit sooner of times that is also biased in my opinion, because obviously as the years went on, baseball got harder because people were actually dedicating their lives to baseball instead of having it as a hobby. Um, so yeah, I know a lot of people are gonna hate me for that one, but I got Babe Ruth 5. I could see him anywhere from 5 to 1. I could see him even higher than 5 because some people really take that product of his time thing seriously. Uh, I believe 5 is a good spot for him. The 4 above him, I don't think you can take out of the top 4 at all. Um, I couldn't see him better than these guys. So yeah, my number 4. Again, this is also gonna piss off a lot of people. A lot of people also could see this guy as number 1. I got Barry Bonds at number 4. I mean, I'm gonna go off the good first. I'm gonna go off from the good. 7-time NL MVP, 8-time Gold Glove, 12-time Silver Slugger. Like 7-time MVP is insane. That's insane. 8-time Gold Glove, great fielder, is in the outfield. Obviously, all-time leader in home runs, 762. Almost 2,000 RBIs, 4 away from it. 298 average, which is great, especially during the time he was playing. 444 on base percentage, 607 slugging. He had 2,935 hits, so about 65 away from 3,000, which, I mean, he could have held out for a bit longer, but 2,500 walks. Like, he was feared at the plate. People would walk him when the bases were loaded to give up a run so they can face someone else because he was that dangerous. Which, that's just aura right there. That is so much aura. And he also has 514 stolen bases, so he is speedy. Reason why I have him at 4 is the little asterisk next to his name. Even when you're talking to him about Hall of Fame, I mean, that's still up in the air whether he's going to get in. It takes away from him. I'm a firm believer that him juicing takes away from his career stats. I know it was to elongate his career, to keep him in his prime for longer. That's what he said he did it for. It still takes away from it. The rest of these guys aren't doing that, and they're putting up numbers that are phenomenal as well. Like, that personally does not give you number 1 potential if you're juicing. I mean, I was considering not even putting him on the top 10 because of that, but I felt it was disrespectful to put him on here. Not put him on here. My bad. You have to have him in the top 10 of all time, just because he was phenomenal when he was not juicing, but because he juiced, he can't be number 1 in my opinion. I know I'll get flack for that. I know I'll probably get flack for that both ways. Probably people who agree with me that he shouldn't be in the top 10, and people who don't agree with me that he should be number 1. Like, it's a two-way street here. I think putting him number 4 is a good compromise for that. But yeah, I got Barry Bonds 4. Number 3. Yeah, Willie Mays. Another Giants legend. I think Willie Mays, one of the best all-around players of all time. I firmly believe that. I mean, 1-time World Series champion, so he had more than Barry. 2-time NL MVP and Rookie of the Year in NL. Not accolades aren't there overall, but his career stats are there. 660 career home runs. It's insane for a guy who was 5'11" and 180 pounds. He had 660 home runs. That's insane. 300 average career, phenomenal. 384 on base percentage, so not as high of on base percentage as other people. He got to 3,000 hit mark, got 3,200 actually, almost 33. 1,500 walks and 338 stolen bases. I mean, he was phenomenal. I know a lot of people know him. I mean, his fielding was great. If they did Gold Gloves back in the day when he was playing, he would have won like all of them. He was one of the best fielders of all time, and that is where I'm coming in with this. He was one of the best 5-tool players of all time. He had every single thing going for him: speed, power, contact, fielding, running. I already said speed. I don't know what the fifth, whatever. He was a 5-tool player. Like, he was. Um, he. I was debating putting him at 2, but you can't not have the other guys. I mean, some people might not have my 1 as number 1, but he is a phenomenal player all around. Like, the epitome of baseball, almost. Like, I really wish I grew up watching him. I feel like it'd been so fun to watch him play. I mean, any of these guys, I really wish I could have seen play. They're all kind of slightly before my time, except for one. But yeah, I got Willie Mays number 3. You guys can probably guess who I've got 1 and 2. Just the order, I guess, if you are a baseball knower at least. My number 2, again, all my picks in the top 5 might just be controversial. Number 2, I got Hank Aaron. Henry Hank Aaron. Let's just go through the stats first before I get roasted here. 1-time World Series champion, 1-time NL MVP, 3-time NL Gold Glove. So he's a good fielder. Obviously, second all-time in career home runs. Could argue that he should be number 1. I agree that he should be number 1 still. 2,300 RBIs, 305 average all time, which is phenomenal. 374 on base, good. 3,771 hits. That's insane. 3,700 hits in the era he was playing in. And then 1,400 walks and 240 stolen bases. He was also a 5-tool player. Well known for hitting, or power, obviously. 755 home runs. But he is a lot of people's number 1, and I don't argue with that. I could totally see your arguments for Hank Aaron number 1. I wanted to make him number 1, but bias came into it. The final pick. I mean, Hank Aaron was the face of baseball for so long with the all-time home run record. I still think he should be all-time home run leader. Shout out Barry Bonds for juicing. I mean, I don't really have much to say. He was just a phenomenal player. Braves legend, obviously. Second best player of all time, in my opinion. There's only one better, and stats might not back me up on this one, but I think just this number 1 guy is the epitome of baseball. My number 1, Ken Griffey Jr. Again, might get some slack for that. Awards: 1-time AL MVP, 1-time Comeback Player of the Year, and a 10-time Gold Glove winner. His fielding was phenomenal. 630 home runs career lifetime, 1,800 RBIs, 284 average. The average is lower than obvious. 370 on base. He only had 9,800 at bats compared to a lot of these guys who had like 11,000, 12,000. He had 2,700 hits, almost 2,800, 1,300 walks, and 184 stolen bases. I know I'm throwing a lot of numbers at you right now. I have been this whole video, but just running through the quick stats. I am a firm believer, if he did not get injured as much as he did, he would have hit the 700 home run mark. I'm a firm believer of that, which then I think that would automatically make him number 1. If with what he did, the smoothest swing in baseball, like literally the best swing, picture perfect swing. If you think of what a baseball swing should be, you think of Ken Griffey Jr. His fielding was phenomenal. I mean, making a catch while breaking your wrist on a play, like that's not many people can do that. The way he just put his body in the line. It's just a shame. The World Series rings. I know I should probably be putting World Series more into like at a higher standard, because if I was, he wouldn't be anywhere close to the top 5. But he would probably be 5. But I mean, he was stuck on the Mariners for how long? Mariners are a joke organization. Shout out to my second favorite team. Um, I firmly believe if he went to a different team, he would have won a World Series. He was so good. Like, I got to see him play a little bit on TV. I really wish I got to go see him watch him play in person. I was going to one time when he retired just before we went to go watch a game that he was playing in. So that sucked. By far my favorite player of all time. So again, bias. My favorite player of all time, I think, is the greatest player of all time. It's arguable. I know, I get that. But when you have the most perfect swing, you can't not be the best player of all time. So yeah, that's my top 10. Yep, top 10 plus 2 honorable mentions. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you disagree with me, leave a like or leave a comment. Be nice. I know I'm more bold than you. I'm joking. But if you guys disagree, leave a comment. Leave a like if you liked the video. Jake will be back with a video probably sometime soon. I'm recording this just as a precaution for whenever he needs a spare video, or maybe it'll come out next week. Who knows? Hope you guys have a good one. Yeah, like I said, leave a like, leave a comment, follow the Debate Zone on TikTok, subscribe. Yeah, see you guys next time.